So now if we look at Susie, Susie took off yesterday quite happy. We discussed the weather and what was happening out the back here. Because there is the big blow coming through, and she's decided to run for Port Arthur. She just made that decision last night. She wanted to get going, and it's a good move, rather than staying in Kingston. It's very depressing to say you're going to stay there for 3 days. So she went out and had a think. We thought she may have been able to run up the east coast of Tasmania here, stay in the lee of the island. The seas would be better, but unfortunately there's a very strong northerly coming, and that made it really difficult. That's a new piece on the scene before the storm. So this is back to real-time weather now. Here's the northerly started, so that mucked up her plan, but we'll come back to her anchorage after. Istvan is doing okay. He will actually run in ahead of the storm, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But Tapio is the one that's going to get clobbered. Unfortunately, there's nowhere to run on this one. We've known it's been coming for a day or so, but there's only a couple of options. One, you could try and run northeast. The problem with that is if he's up here somewhere when the storm hits, he becomes on a very dangerous lee shore because the wind's going to blow him onto the west coast of Tasmania. And so really, there's nothing that can be done. He just needs to keep going, and this is what's going to happen. So if we go forward to say 18 or 15 hours from now, you can see the northwesterly starting to build. Within 15 hours or so, Tapio will be around this area, just at the leading edge of this storm coming. And then he'll get some very extreme northwesterly winds. I'll click this through an hour at a time. So there's 1 hour, 2 hours. So by 1700 UTC, which is in about 18 hours or so, he's going to come under the influence of this system, and it's really solid. Those purples there are going to be 45, 50 knots, 55 knots, and then it's going to swing to the west and building. Now you can see this is the worst part of the storm, but this is only the beginning, and you'll see what's coming up behind it. And in fact, I'll move the map across here, and you'll see how it evolves. So you've got Tasmania in the top end here. Tapio will be about on this line here. It'll be somewhere there. He will have gone through severe northwesterly winds at that stage, and then he'll get into an area that'll be easily gusting well over 70 knots. This is the leading centre of it, but it just keeps growing. So it's just going to hold there for nearly 24 hours. This is just clicking through every hour. And this whole region here is potentially 60 gusting 75 knots, and it's going to go right through where Tapio is. So it's changed a bit. It's gone down south. So if we pick this up, the centre is now south. It's right down here, which is a good thing. Previously, the forecasting was saying the centre was going to be higher, and that's why there was no chance to run off to the north and risk going into a lee shore there. So unfortunately, Tapio is going to have 24 hours of really horrible conditions. If we just backpack a little bit and look at the sea state, we'll just call up the waves here. When it starts off, it's pretty mild. Okay, so now it's only about 3 metre seas, but very quickly when it starts, the wind comes in, picking up to 4 or 5 metres here, and then it goes through to the red, which is going into 6 metres, and this grey area is forecast 9 metre seas, and you'll see it comes over the top of him pretty quickly, and that's forecast. Remembering Tapio is now going to be in this area here, it'll probably go to 12, 13 metre seas and so on, maybe even higher than that. The good news is, if there is any in this whole story, is that at least the wind direction is not changing quickly. The winds are all going to build from having a northwesterly at the start is very typical. The seas don't build too quick. As soon as it comes around to the west, which is in about 18 hours, the seas start to build up. They'll be building here consistently every hour. They'll probably come up another half a metre, and they will become quite big. By the time he's been in it for 24 hours, the sea continues to build, and who knows to what. The trick is then, the challenge is that as it's dying down, because at this stage Tapio will probably be down in this area here, as it dies down, the seas will remain, and that's the danger zone. So Tapio's had plenty of time to prepare for this, but it will be a very challenging situation for him. So we'll all be watching and hoping the best for Tapio over the next couple of days. As for Istvan, it looks like he's had a bit of good luck for a change, and I'll just build this up here so you can see his approach. He's got about 150 miles to go right now, and he's got a nice sailing breeze. He's making 5.6 knots, and that breeze is going to follow him all the way around. If we now come forward 8 hours or so, you see he's got a solid breeze there. As he's moving around the corner, it's going to come to him really quickly. In fact, I'll show you how quick this is going to hit. I'll just push this an hour at a time. This is 1900 hours UTC, so he'll be around about here somewhere, okay, at that stage. And then very quickly, this system, that's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, this keeps building. He keeps sailing around with this, okay. So, and by that stage, this is 2 o'clock on the 2nd. By that stage, Istvan should be up and pretty much getting in towards, he's in the lee of Bruny Island, heading in towards Kingston Beach, so he's just going to beat this storm in. And then it's going to continue to infill right over the top of Tasmania. So it just builds up. This is every hour. A few hours later, there's going to be 70 knots off the bottom of Tassie here. So he's beat it by about 12 hours, and he'll be snug there on the anchor at Kingston Beach. And I'm quite confident that he's going to go nowhere until it blows through. So that's going to be possibly Sunday or something. So he'll be there for a while. This goes through very slowly. In fact, you can see there at that stage, right in the thick of it, Susie will be anchored up in here. If we, this is at 6 o'clock UTC on the 3rd of November. I'll just build that up. Susie's anchorage is going to have 60 knots in it, okay, and she's got a 35-pound CQR chain and rope. Should be okay. So let's talk about what she's doing right now. I'll just scale that back to real-time weather. I'm going to change this to a chart sequence instead of just the pictures, so I can show you where she's going to go and hide. She came out last night thinking it might have gone north around and headed north and stayed to the lee of the island. It wasn't going to work with the current forecast. She hove to here. You can see her course during the night. Just hove to, got some sleep. She then turned around about first light this morning, and she's just about, we've got her on 1 hourly positions at the moment, so we can see where she's going. She's making 1.9 knots. There's slight headwinds at the moment, and she's coming in here to Port Arthur, which is a very famous tourist spot. There was a convict settlement here, and going back hundreds of years. But it's very secure anchorages in there. And if I come up to the next one, I'll show you where she's going in. She doesn't have a large detailed chart for this. This is probably about as big as she's got, as you're seeing it on the screen there now. But we've got the luxury of zooming right in. And we've suggested there's a couple of spots where she'll go. She wants a wide open spot, sandy bottom, and it'll be either here in the Safety Cove, this first one right here, or into this other one up here as well. So she'll come right in, tuck in, and there's no real navigation hazards there. We've already confirmed to her that there's no outstanding or offshore hazards that she might not be able to see. Visibility is good. The weather's not too bad today. If we go over to, you can do this yourself, of course. If we go over to the satellite images, it'll show you the sandy bottoms. So these are the two bays that she's going to consider right now. This is Safety Bay, beautiful, typical Tasmanian white sandy silica beaches, sandy bottom to anchor on, not too deep, 8, 9, 10 metre deep. So she could come in there, or she might come in here. This is the Port Arthur settlement up the top here, very big tourist resort, thousands of people go here every day. And she could come in here and pick up one of these spots as well. So she should be pretty snug there, and she'll sit it out until Sunday. Difficult call, but a very smart decision. No chance of damaging any gear. Let's hope rather than going and facing that storm. So that's pretty much it. There's we'll keep you updated on everything, but please watch and think about Tapio out there. He's going to have a hard time for the next few days. So we'll see you again later on. Thanks a lot.